Barbados is on high alert for the passage of Tropical Storm Kirk. That's the story we're tracking in your Barbados Today evening news update. It's Wednesday, September 26. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Barbadians have battened down as they await the passage of Tropical Storm Kirk. The island woke up to news this morning that Kirk, which was a tropical depression, had regained its strength on its trek towards the Leeward Islands. Met officials wasted no time in issuing a storm warning for Barbados. The system, which is packing winds of 60 miles per hour, will begin to affect the island later tonight into tomorrow. Acting Senior Meteorologist Sherry Ann Springer cautions Barbadians to brace for gusty winds and heavy rains.
On this track, the center of Kirk is expected to pass about 50 miles to the north of Barbados between tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. and tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. Wind speeds will start to increase across Barbados later tonight, with sustained surface winds of 25 to 35 miles per hour, with gust to storm force expected to spread across the island tomorrow. In addition, pockets of moderate to heavy showers, periods of rain and scattered thunderstorms are expected. Rainfall accumulations of at least 2 to 4 inches are possible between Thursday and Friday morning. Some flash flooding is likely in low-lying areas. Thus, residents are urged to be on the alert and take all necessary precautions.
Disaster officials huddled behind closed doors at government headquarters to finalize their preparations. Director of the Department of Emergency Management, Kerry Hines, said emergency personnel are ready, and she urged Barbadians to be fully prepared.
Their last-minute preparations, and that would include ensuring that you have your emergency supplies to meet your family's needs during the event. This would include ensuring that you have your first aid supplies, your medications, your sanitary and hygiene supplies, your food and water for at least 3 to 5 days, ensuring that around your surroundings are clean, tidy up, do your last-minute preparations, have your important documents in a safe and secure place. Of course, if you have any pets, make sure that you have the supplies ready for them. Please take note of the shelters that are available for public use, just in case you have to utilize those shelters.
This evening, government announced that all public educational institutions will be closed tomorrow, including nurseries, primary and secondary schools, as well as tertiary institutions. Meanwhile, the streets were busy today as citizens made their last-minute preparations. Several people told Barbados Today they were taking no chances.
I would just buy a few things.
I leave for this morning to buy things for the stand. But I just kind of buy different people because I just like go out one stop. I just buy a flour for $30, a big flour. I buy sugar for $30. I buy salt and I buy cooking oil. I don't usually buy like biscuits and things so because I realize that biscuits just go fast. So if I buy flour, I could do a lot of different things with the flour and it will last. Different than buying biscuits and things like how I shop.
What about canned products?
Canned products, I got Popular. They have things in Popular like in it triple J. This is a canned food. The triple J has got some big chunks of fish in it, and it actually tastes better than the mackerel and thing. So I make it Popular, and I buy triple J, the mackerel, the corned beef, and different things already very Popular, and I buy it ready for the morning.
The island's fisher folk rushed to get their boats to safe harbor, but it was not an easy task for some fishermen at the Bridgetown Fisheries Complex. Hallam Payne told Barbados Today some fisher folk had no means of hauling in their boats, and some may actually have to sleep in their vessels during the storm to protect their investment.
This weather coming down from Barbados, And some people got to left the house and get down the board and all kind of thing. We don't know what to do.
Meantime, Small Business and Commerce Minister Dwight Sutherland said the Mia Mottley government will spend nothing to ensure that Barbados can weather any disaster. As part of initiatives, Sutherland disclosed that his ministry has partnered with the Department of Emergency Management and supermarket operators to come up with a list of goods the island must have in the event of a disaster.
People keep saying that God is a Bajan, but we have been spared. The last major catastrophe here was, I think, in 1995. We would have had Thomas, but that was not as devastated as 1955 Hurricane Janet. And we have to prepare for any eventuality in case that a hurricane struck this country. We must be able to have a minimum supply of goods that can be distributed to all of the persons, the consumers, and people within this country.
Sutherland made the comments while he toured two of the island's supermarkets, Popular Discounts at Kendall Hill and Emerald City in St. Philip. It was all part of a series of planned visits by his ministry to reach out to the retail and hotel sector. During today's tour, food prices were issue number one. Businessman Andrew Bino, who operates Emerald City and Carlton and A1 supermarkets, warned Barbadians to brace for belt tightening in over the next 3 years.
Generally speaking, I would say that business has tightened over the last 2 years, especially in these hard economic times, and we expect that it's going to get tighter. I mean, not only us, but certainly in this country, business will get tighter. So we as consumers and we as business people have to as it were, button down in these circumstances.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To the region now, Dominicans are also keeping a close eye on the approaching Tropical Storm Kirk. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit urged his countrymen to remain calm, but to also be ready.
You too must not take this for granted. And I know natural, normal human behavior is that after a while you will feel that this is the nuisance little boy shouting wolf, wolf when there's no wolf. And you say, well, no storm is going to come, and let's forget about these fellas and so forth. They don't know some coming. They said Barry was coming, it didn't come. They said Isaac was coming, it didn't come. And look again, I'm not in that business. I'm going about my life as if nothing's going to happen. I want to caution us against the temptation. It's a natural temptation to think that way and to eventually behave in that way, because we do not have to go back very far in our memory to relay and relate to instances when we would have taken things for granted or not prepared ourselves as individual households.
On the international scene in the United States, a third woman has presented the Senate Judiciary Committee with allegations of inappropriate behavior by Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, accusing him of sexual aggressive behavior at alcohol-fueled parties when he was in high school. Moindy's CNN report.
A third accuser threatening to derail the already tenuous prospects of President Trump's Supreme Court nominee.
The details in this declaration are specific. They are shocking, but above all else, they are true. And my client stands behind them 100%.
The allegations from Julie Swetnick, who alleged in a signed affidavit she attended well over 10 parties where she saw Judge Brett Kavanaugh, then in high school, drink excessively at many of these parties and engage in abusive and physically aggressive behavior towards girls. Swetnick also claiming Kavanaugh and others would spike the punch to cause girls to become inebriated and disoriented, so they could then be gang raped in a side room or bedroom. Later adding, I became the victim of one of these gang or train rapes where Mark Judge and Brett Kavanaugh were present. Swetnick does not say they assaulted her or the other girls. And while Swetnick says she's aware of other witnesses who can corroborate her claims, she has not yet identified those witnesses.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Do have a great evening and stay safe.